day 27 of our Lara Wellness 30-day challenge, and today's class is going to be all about headstands. So it's not going to be a yoga class per se, it's more about working on our flexibility and our strength to be able to get into a headstand. So if you want to just make sure that you have moved any furniture that you have around you, so that if you do fall, you won't injure yourself too much. And if you do have a wall or a door that you can practice against, then that would be helpful. So with headstands, I find that you need to have three things basically. You need to have your core strength, your shoulder strength, but you also need flexibility, and especially flexibility in hamstrings. So I'm going to break down how to get into a headstand, and if you are working on your hamstring flexibility, then maybe you'll just have to wait until your hamstring flexibility has developed enough for you to be able to start lifting your legs into a headstand, and you'll see what I mean when we get into it. So the biggest thing as well is fear, and it's fear of falling over and injuring yourself, which is a completely rational fear to have. But the best way to get over that is to have a wall by you, so to do it against a wall would be preferable. And it will just make things a bit easier as well. If you do fall, then you've got something to just help you balance. So yeah, it should be fun. Let's give it a go, but we will start by just warming up our body, so we'll have a small flow to work on our flexibility and strength, and then we'll move into the step-by-step of how to get into a headstand. So coming into a kneeling position and just stilling our body, so bring the back of your hands to your thighs and just close your eyes here, bringing your awareness to your breath, slowing down your mind and lengthening through your spine as you inhale and softening through your shoulders as you exhale. So let's start this practice with one deep breath together, inhaling through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Good work, and slowly just opening your eyes. So let's come straight into our downward facing dog. So have your fingers wide, wrists in line, hands underneath your shoulders, and just tucking your toes under, lifting your hips towards the ceiling. Good, so if this is your first downward dog of the day, then just bending out your knees one at a time. Just stretch out your calves, stretch out your hamstrings. And as I said, hamstring flexibility is important for our headstands. So just stretch out those hamstrings as much as you can. And keep pressing into the knuckle area of your palm, protecting your wrists. Make sure that your middle finger is facing forwards, and just keeping your ears in line with the top of your arms. So if your hamstrings are tight, then have a slight bend in your knees and allow your spine to lengthen here. Good, let's stay here for 3 breaths. This is a perfect pose to strengthen our shoulders as well as stretch out our hamstrings. Good, 2 more deep breaths here. Relax those shoulders away from your ears. 1 more deep breath. Good work, and on your next inhale, shifting your weight forwards, come into a high plank. Adjust your hands if you need to, make sure they're underneath your shoulders. And so that we are working our core, we're going to do some shoulder taps here. So we'll do 5 shoulder taps on each side. So with your right hand, touching your left shoulder, and with your left hand, tap your right shoulder. And let's do that 5 more times. Try and keep your hips level. Good, 2 more. 1 more. Good work, holding it here in high plank. Staying here for 3 more breaths. Create a dome of your shoulders, squeeze your belly in towards your spine. 2 more breaths. And one, push back to downward facing dog. Good, so we're really working on our strength at the moment. And inhale, bringing yourself forward to high plank, squeezing your core. One more deep breath. And exhale, downward dog. One more time, inhale, high plank. Squeezing your core here. And exhale, downward facing dog. Good work. We're going to work on stretching out our hamstrings as well as strengthening our shoulders and core now. So I want you to come up onto your tiptoes and just walk your toes or your feet as far as you can towards your body. And when you've reached as far as you can, stay here, hold it here, and see if you can come up onto your toes. So you're strengthening your core here, squeezing your core, holding here for 3, holding here for 2, and 1. Reaching your feet back to downward facing dog. Good work. We're going to do that twice more, guys. So coming up onto your tiptoes, if this is enough for you and you're working enough here, stay here. Otherwise, walking your feet as close as you can towards your head or your hands, and then coming up as high as you can, so onto your toes. Good, staying here for 3, staying here for 2, and 1. Pressing back to downward facing dog. Now that is going to really work your shoulders and your core, so you're probably feeling it now, which is good. We've got 1 more. So coming up onto your tiptoes, walking forwards, pausing here, coming up a bit more onto your toes, if you can, staying here for 3, staying here for 2, and 1. Good, stepping back into downward dog and lowering both your elbows, coming into dolphin. So this is strengthening our shoulders and our core a bit more. You're probably feeling it a lot, which is good. We need to strengthen before we come into our headstand practice. So stay with me here. We'll have 2 more deep breaths. Inhaling through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. And then coming up onto your tiptoes, see if you can walk your feet towards you, staying here. See if you can bring your hips above your shoulders. This is our headstand practice preparation. And slowly walk your feet back. Good. Twice more, guys. Inhale, come up to your tiptoes. Walk your feet towards your head. Pause when you've reached your limit. Maybe your hips are above your shoulders. And exhale, walk them back out. 1 more time. Coming up to your tiptoes, walking your feet towards your head. Pausing here, squeezing your core. And exhale, bringing your knees down and wide. Toes together, pressing back into our child's pose. Good work, everyone. So you should feel like you've worked your core, you've worked your shoulders, and you stretched out your hamstrings. We are now ready to start our headstands. So on your next inhale, raising your torso back up. And if you do need more of a rest, by all means, stay in child's pose for a bit longer. So, headstand. First of all, bring your elbows and your forearms towards the floor. And to make sure that they're the right distance apart, grab hold of opposite elbows, and that is how far your elbows should be away from each other. And then you want to interlace your fingers. Have your thumbs facing towards the ceiling. And then you want to place your forehead, kind of where your hairline is. Where your hairline is, on your forehead, where your forehead meets your crown, is where you want to place your weight. So that the palm is holding the crown of your head here, but the weight is going into the top of your head. Have your thumbs facing the ceiling and push your head into your palms and then into the floor. Now you want to keep the weight in your forearms here. So when you come up into headstand, 90% of the weight is going to be in your arms, 10% is in your head. So really imagine that this isn't actually a headstand. Think of this as like a forearm stand, because the less weight you have in your head, the safer it is for if anything goes wrong. You want to make sure that your neck is protected. So I can't emphasize this enough. You have to make sure that most of your weight is in your forearms. Okay, so coming back, pressing your head into the palm of your hands, the top of your head into the floor, and then tucking your toes under, lifting your hips, so straightening your legs here. Now this is where your hamstring flexibility comes in. You want to walk your feet towards you until your hips come above your shoulders. Now, I can't see, but I think my hips are over my shoulders here, or they're in line. Now, if your hamstrings are tight and you can only get to here, and your hips are not in line with your shoulders, then you need to work on your hamstring flexibility a bit more before you can start practicing headstand. So if your hamstrings are fine, then walking your feet towards you, and then slowly experiment with lifting one foot at a time. So we're just bringing confidence into what you can do. And then maybe you can lift both. Engage in your core here. And then maybe you can stretch one leg up and then the other leg. Have your toes pointed, pressing into your forearms here, making sure the weight is not in your head. Engage in those bandhas. So Uddiyana Bandha, Mula Bandha, if you've practiced those before, engage in them to help you balance. So squeezing your belly button towards your spine. Find a drishti, find a gaze. Holding it here. Now you can stay here for as long as you want. Some people stay for about 3 to 5 minutes, or you can stay for 3 to 5 breaths. So let's do that instead. 3, 2, and 1. Good. So one more thing to point out is that in headstands you want to have your toes pointed and squeeze your big toes together. It's as if you're lifting through your toes towards the ceiling. So you're trying to have a straight line in your body here. Have your hips in line with your shoulders and engage your core. And when you come down, you can come down with your legs straight, which means that your hips will have to go backwards for balance, or you can bend your knees, but try and keep it as controlled as possible. And then bending your knees, untucking your toes, forehead towards the floor, and bring your hands behind you in child's pose. And stay here for as long as you need to, just relaxing here in child's pose. So you're releasing tension from your back here. And you're also just calming yourself down, because that's quite a challenging pose to do. So really well done for giving it a go, and really well done for holding it if you managed to hold it. And if you are still working on your hamstring flexibility or the stages leading up to headstand, then good work for getting that far. So we'll have one more deep breath here. Inhaling through your nose, exhale through your mouth. And then inhale, raising your torso all the way up. Good work. So, if you do have any questions about headstand, then please let me know. The main thing I would say is don't put a time limit on trying to achieve headstand. I think there are other things involved, so it's not just being able to hold the balance on your head and your forearms, it's also about flexibility and core strength. So these are muscles that you can't see. So when I say Uddiyana Bandha and Mula Bandha, you can't tell when someone's engaging those muscles. So it's about strengthening those core muscles that are really close to your spine. That's really important in helping you get up to headstand and also staying in headstand. Thank you so much for watching, and if you liked that video, then you can head over to my Patreon page where I'll be doing weekly yoga and meditation classes. So hopefully see you there, and enjoy the rest of your day.